This is a SnapEd New York video presentation.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Christina and I'm a nutrition educator for the SNAP Education and Obesity Prevention Program at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Erie County. My job is to teach you things like why we need to eat less sodium, why it's important to eat more fruits and vegetables, and how to make low-cost meals at home.
Today I'll be making a creamy potato and leek soup.
I chose this recipe for many reasons, besides the fact that it's absolutely delicious. For one, it's such a quick and easy soup to make at home. Two, it's easy on the wallet. And three, it adds to your goal of making half your plate full of fruits and vegetables for most meals and snacks. Speaking of fruits and vegetables, the USDA's My Plate reminds us that we shouldn't just make half of our plate full of fruits and vegetables, but to strive to eat whole foods rather than highly processed ones. Eating just one serving of this recipe, which happens to be about a cup, also happens to be about one serving of vegetables towards your daily goal of 3 to 5 servings. Choosing fresh, locally grown produce like potatoes is a great cost-effective strategy with the added bonus of benefiting our local farms. Most farmer markets accept SNAP benefits, and some even offer a program called Double Up Food Bucks that gives you the opportunity to double your food dollars just by buying more fruits and vegetables. All the more reason to add more fruits and veggies to every meal and snack you eat, and to help make half your plate full of fruits and vegetables. All this talk about food and freshly grown local produce is making me really hungry. Let's dive into the ingredients for today's recipe and find out why we should be eating more of them, shall we? To start, I'll be using 3 leeks, which equals about 3 cups when they're all diced up. Leeks have a similar flavor to onion, but tend to be a bit more mild and have a more sweet flavor. Leeks are a perfect addition to any salad. They're good in soups and stews, alongside your favorite roasted vegetables, and can be eaten raw. Leeks also contribute vitamins A, C, and K, and folate, which are all necessary for our bodies. Folate is especially important when it comes to periods of rapid growth, such as pregnancy, infancy, and early adolescence. When choosing leeks in the store or at the farmers markets, you should select ones that are firm with crisp-looking stalks that contain as much white or light green color as possible. The dark green portion you see here is not actually edible because it's too fibrous for our bodies to digest. Leeks can be found year-round and can be stored frozen for up to 3 months. Moving on to the next star ingredient, the potatoes. Potatoes are an excellent source of potassium as well as vitamin C and B6. Did you know that potatoes are actually naturally free of fat, sodium, and cholesterol? This is because plants don't make cholesterol. Cholesterol can be found in animal foods like meat, fish, and eggs. Potatoes come in many varieties and are best stored in cool, dark, well-ventilated areas. Storing potatoes properly will ensure they will keep longer. For this recipe, I've chosen to use white potatoes, but you can use any type of potato you like. Using vegetables like potatoes and leeks and any others you may like in soups and stews are easy ways to make half your plate full of fruits and veggies. The next ingredient our recipe calls for is actually 2 tablespoons of butter or margarine, but I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of olive oil instead. More often than not, it's perfectly fine to substitute oil for butter or margarine in any recipe. The reason why I'm choosing to substitute is because fats that are liquid at room temperature, like canola and olive oil, are healthier for our hearts than ones that are solid at room temperature, like butter or stick margarine. Next, I have about 4.5 cups of low-sodium chicken broth. Eating too much salt can negatively impact our health. Most of the sodium found in the typical American diet comes from salt that is added during the commercial processing. Dishes like burgers, sandwiches, tacos, pizza, rice and green dishes, soups, all account for about half of the salt we consume. So whenever we can cut out unnecessary salt, look to see if there's a low sodium, no salt added, or reduced sodium version of the product you're looking for. Foods with less salt or sodium are almost always available and tend to be located right next to or below the original product. Also, they're usually about the same price as the original product too. I actually found this low sodium chicken broth right next to the original version on the shelf, and both cost about $2.50. It's important to look for low sodium options whenever possible, since it's recommended we aim to drink and eat less sodium, saturated fat, and added sugars as an overall healthy eating pattern. Remember, sodium or salt can always be added in, but once it's in a product, you can't take it out. Now that I've got all of my ingredients, it's time to get down to business. I've already rinsed the leeks and scrubbed my potatoes with the vegetable scrubber and washed my hands. It's really important that we wash all of our produce thoroughly before cutting or consuming. Although you may not be able to visually see the dirt on a fruit or vegetable, doesn't mean that it's not there. Produce, whether it grows under the ground or on a tree, can have dirt, bugs, or pesticides on it that could make us really sick if we don't wash them. Same goes with our hands. Washing our hands for at least 20 seconds before eating or preparing food will help keep everyone healthier. I've already cut the leeks in half and rinsed them the first time. Then I went ahead and rinsed them a second time because a lot of sand and dirt like to hide out in between the stalks, and I don't want any of that getting into my soup. Since the tops or dark green parts are too fibrous for us to eat, I've already chopped those off as well as the stems. Lastly, all I have to do is cut the remaining parts into about 1/4 inch size slices. The last thing I have to cut are the potatoes. The recipe calls for cubed potatoes, so in order to cut them into cubes, I first have to cut them in half lengthwise. Cutting the potatoes in half helps to keep me from cutting myself, since now I have a flat surface to work with rather than a rolling potato. Next, I'm going to make a few slices lengthwise like this, and then turning my potato in the other direction, make slices in this direction in order to cube them. And there you have it. Continue to do this or whichever method works best for you to cut the rest of your potatoes. Now that I have all my ingredients ready to go, it's time to cook. I have a nice large stock pot with oil warming over medium heat. This recipe can also be made just as easily in an electric skillet. Now that it's nice and warm, I'm going to add my chopped leeks and my garlic. I'm going to continue to cook these until they're soft, stirring often. Now that my leeks are nice and soft, it's time to add the potatoes and enough chicken broth to cover the potatoes.
Once the potatoes and chicken broth are added, cover the pot and continue to cook until the potatoes are nice and soft.
Now that my potatoes are nice and soft, you can choose to leave them whole or you can mash them up with a potato masher. I'm going to choose to leave mine whole because I love a chunkier soup and I don't have a potato masher.
All that's left to do is add the remaining chicken broth, milk, and season with pepper.
Continue to let the soup simmer for about 5 more minutes and you're done. Here is 1 serving of the finished recipe, which equals about 1 cup. The entire recipe makes about 8 cups and costs around $9 to make. Remember that just 1 cup of this recipe is about 1 serving of veggies, which makes this recipe a step in the right direction of making half your plate full of fruits and veggies. Always be sure to refrigerate any leftovers within 2 hours. This recipe also freezes very well and makes a wonderful lunch or dinner in a flash any day of the week. Thank you so much for joining me today. For more recipes, tips, and tricks, be sure to check out our website at www.snapedny.org. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. We know the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but small changes can make a big difference. Start today by getting involved with SNAP Ed New York. This program is free for those who qualify or receive SNAP benefits. We want to help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. Learn how SNAP Ed can make a difference in your life. For more information and to find your local program, visit snapedny.org. This material is funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.